In the 2000s, Timbaland was one of the most in-demand producers in the music industry. Each and every one of you heard his hit songs. However, in the present day, many forgot just how cool he was and how uniquely he sounded. When SexyBack was playing from every stereo, Kanye decided to counter this song by writing Stronger.
Because my fiance at that time liked Justin Timberlake just a little bit too much. So I made it to compete, and then we had the song out. It's #1 on Apple, it's blowing up. I play it in a club and it sounds muddy. It doesn't sound the way SexyBack sounded in the club. So I go to Pharrell Williams to do the drums, and it sounds like a different record. Then I go to Swiss Beats, it sounds like a different record. I go to Timbaland, the person who did SexyBack. He did it in 5 minutes and then spent the rest of the hour talking about how nobody could have done it except for him.
He has a unique approach to creating music.
Start from scratch, making a beat with my mouth. Beat, then I can duplicate it on a drum machine.
He can even make up a beat using buckets and rakes.
I got tired of like using my ASR 10 and stuff like that, so I just started going to garbage cans and rakes and spoons and plates and shit and saying to myself, and I started realizing music is all around us. So I started taking like garbage cans, micing it up, finding out new ways of finding bottom and different type of shit. So, and I could tell you the records that I did that was like garbage cans. The one with Give It To Me. That was all buckets and rakes and house yard shit.
To begin with, let's remember how he got to be the person he became, as everything could have ended tragically in his youth and we would have never heard of him. So why is that? You're about to find out. You're with the Music Vibe channel. Let's begin. Timbaland's real name is Timothy Zachary Mosley. He was born on the 10th of March, 1972 in Norfolk, Virginia. His mother worked at a homeless shelter while his father worked in a railway company. They lived poorly. Other than Tim, there were 2 other children in the family, his brother Sebastian and his sister Courtney. By the way, you've seen Sebastian in the music video for The Way I Are. From his early childhood, Tim loved music. He was already spinning records back at school, going by the pseudonym of DJ Tim or DJ Timmy Tim, and he prepared tracks using his own keyboard Casio that you could rap to. He did his very first beat with the help of his mouth, and he had been using this approach to making music for the entirety of his career.
I'm making it with my mouth, and it was like, then my friend Cam was like, yo, you kind of dope. All I had when Mom brought me a keyboard, a Casio keyboard, and all I had was 1 second, so I had to manipulate 1 second. So I said, and speed it up on a tape deck.
At that time, the young DJ earned nothing from his music, which is why at 14 years old, he had to work as a dishwasher at a local Red Lobster restaurant, where his friend accidentally shot him in the neck and paralyzed his arm.
My homeboy grabbed a revolver, and he was putting it up in the bag. He said, wait till the night's game. And as he was putting up in the bag, I said, man, and I was turning around to clock out, and I turned around, pow! And I walked off, and I thought my arm was on the ground.
Right.
And I said, where my arm at? Where my arm at? I said, where my arm? Where my arm? And what happened, my whole nerve this side got paralyzed. It was paralyzed for like about a year, 2 years.
But he didn't give up, and he learned to DJ with his left hand and began making music with his buddies from school. Because, as it turned out, Timbaland wasn't the only talent in the entire school. To begin with, I will say that his cousin Pharrell Williams also went to the same school, the guy whom, in the future, would become a famous producer. Yep, you heard that right, they're cousins. Other than Pharrell, Timbaland knew the brothers Terrence and Gene Thornton, who would become known as Pusha T and Malice of the rap group Clips, respectively. He also knew Melvin Barcliff, who's actually Magoo, whom, in turn, knew Missy Elliot. Well, as you've already guessed, that's how Timbaland and Elliot got to know each other. This acquaintance changed Tim's life, and as he himself says, Elliot gave him the confidence that he was truly an excellent producer. And if it weren't for her, he would never have become the person he is. At that time, the girl had a group called Phase. It would later be renamed to Sista. In turn, Pharrell, Magoo, Larry Live, and Tim created their own group by the name SBI, which stood for Surrounded by Idiots.
Now as I lick my lips, the lickety smacker of the whacker, rappers who would get smacked and stacked between two crackers.
In 1991, Phase caught the attention of Jodeci member and producer Devontae Swing by performing Jodeci songs a cappella for him backstage after one of his group's concerts. In short order, Phase moved to New York City and signed to Elektra Records through Devontae's Swing Mob imprint, and also renaming the group Sista. When Devontae began working on the group's debut album, Elliot requested for Timbaland to also take part in this project, as they already had chemistry between them. And most importantly, it was a sound that the public had never heard before. Of course, at the beginning it was difficult to convince Devontae, but the lady later went home to Tim and told him to pack a bag. He and Magoo became part of Devontae's Swings label called Swing Mob. It was Devontae Swing who came up with Timothy's pseudonym Timbaland, similar to the shoe brand Timberland. Tim slept on an air mattress and worked on nearly 100 beats a day. He did production work on a number of projects with Devontae, including the 1995 Jodeci LP The Show, The After Party, The Hotel. And Sista's debut LP, For All the Sisters Around the World, was shelved and never released. It only appeared at the music shelves in the year 2017. And there it was. Timbaland had finally managed to earn money doing what he enjoys most, and he decided to spend it on a new car. And one time, he took the car out for a late-night spin with a female friend, but the ride ended in tragedy when he hit a patch of black ice on the road and smashed into a tree. Timbaland managed to climb out of the mangled wreckage, but his passenger wasn't so lucky, and she died at the scene. After this incident, he's unwilling to get behind the wheel. He often gets nightmares, and he poses the question, why her and not me? Towards the end of the year 1995, Swing Mob had folded and many of its members dispersed. Timbaland returned to Virginia, but continued to work with Missy Elliot and Magoo. He got a new project on his hands, a talented girl by the name of Aaliyah. At that time, Aaliyah was living a terrible stage in her life. She had left Jive Records because of R. Kelly, who had forged her documents to marry her, alleging that she was 18 years old when in reality, she was just 14. Even after what Kelly had done to her, he wanted to continue working with her, and people from the label talked her into staying. But Aaliyah's uncle, Barry Hankerson, said that everything is over.
People were questioning me, well, how are you going to repeat the success of the first album without him? And lo and behold, we met Timbaland and Missy. I have to say anything after that.
Missy Elliott helped Aaliyah write songs, while at the same time, Timbaland worked on the music. The producer played a decisive role in forming Aaliyah's voice. His innovative ideas and music talent allowed him to create a unique and catchy style, which still, to this day, inspires musicians around the world. The One in a Million album became twice as more successful in terms of sales than the previous one, and it was Tim himself who produced most of the tracks from the album. And then it was Missy Elliott's turn. Her debut album, which was produced by the protagonist of our video, became multi-platinum, and it was also nominated for a Grammy in the Best Rap Album category. And the track, The Rain, Supa Dupa Fly, was nominated for Best Rap Solo Performance. Also in 1997, Timbaland released his first album with Magoo, Welcome to Our World. Timbaland became a superstar, and he began working with artists such as Jay-Z, Nas, The Lox, and Ludacris. The second album with Magoo, titled Indecent Proposal, was released in 2001. He also produced 2 tracks for Aaliyah's third album. The songs More Than a Woman and Try Again became hits. Timbaland admits he made Try Again, Aaliyah's hit song, by mistake.
This keyboard, it was a mistake. And my engineer, Jimmy Douglas, caught it. I said, Jimmy, did you catch that little rhythm? He said, I sure did. And so he caught it, played it back, and I just put the beat on it. I said, ooh, chop it right there.
Try again. You can dust it off and try again, try again.
We just did something good.
You know,
here.
we know it's good for us. We didn't know it was a hit. We just know that it was good for what we was.
In the same year of 2001, Aaliyah had passed away in a plane crash with her crew. They were flying to the Bahamas to shoot the music video for the song Rock the Boat. Aaliyah's death was a huge blow for Timbaland, and it caused him to become depressed.
That's when my career kind of went like a downhill. You know, so I feel like it separated all of us. Like the ones that we just lost our tightness.
Were you depressed? You think it was?
Yeah, I think I was. Man. Like I just felt like, man, you wake up in the morning. I'm like, man, this really not me. I thought I was gonna like lose my mind. I really think about like Curt Cobain, like why he really so. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, little thoughts, like just not the normal thoughts would come in my mind.
And you know what? He got lucky again by remaining alive, as Timbaland was initially supposed to fly for the shooting of the music video with Aaliyah, but it was all later canceled. In 2011, Timbaland admitted that he was in love with Aaliyah, but that she was too young, so then he decided to remain like an older brother to her. He also admitted that he was married to his ex-wife, Monique Idlet, because she resembled Aaliyah. Yeah, his current girlfriend, Michelle, also has some resemblance to the R&B princess. Missy Elliott's fourth studio album was released in 2002 by the name of Under Construction, which turned out to be the most popular in her entire career. So who produced it? Of course, it was this genius right here. This album is highly ranked in various top lists, such as the best albums in history. And then the legendary partnership with Justin Timberlake began. After all, they knew each other back when Justin was only 15 years old. Back then, the teenager was in awe of the producer's work with Missy Elliot, and Justin told Tim that he wants to work with him. At the time, the singer had been included in the NSYNC bands, but a few years later, when Justin started recording his solo album, he reached out to Timbaland. The magic immediately appeared, which they used to record a few tracks, one of which became the hit song in the 2000s, Cry Me a River. Justin wrote this song after a fight with Britney Spears over the phone. At the time, he had found out that Britney had cheated on him with a common friend. As Britney herself says, she was getting back at him because she had caught him cheating a handful of times. Whatever it was, Timberlake took his anger to the studio to the producer. As always, Timbaland began beatboxing and Justin was coming up with lines for the song. The first words were, "You were my sun, you were my earth." However, he fell into a depression once again. His third collab album with Magoo became a commercial flop, and he overall started appearing on the radio less and less. Talks were that he had already passed his peak and that he just fell off. As his ex-wife recalls, during that time he just ate and slept, and this led him to obesity. However, in 2005, Timbaland began working with the singer Nelly Furtado. They had long known each other, and Timbaland once produced a remix for Get Your Freak, which included Nelly. He also created a very successful remix for Turn Off the Lights. But from that time, they had not seen each other for 5 years. During that time, Nelly had released a second album, which was not so mainstream as the first one had been. She decided to once again do something for a wider audience. Jimmy Iovine said it was worth her trying out working with Timbaland, and she decided to listen to his advice, and they met up. She initially wanted to check if they had any chemistry left between each other, and as it turned out, the chemistry had gone nowhere. They recorded an album in around 6 weeks, and the first track of the album, which they did together, was Maneater. The album was named Loose, which became the most successful in the singer's career. And the track that became the main one was her hit song, Promiscuous. Further, a couple of months later, Timberlake's second studio album was released called Future Sax Love Sounds. Once in the studio, however, the team had no clear direction for the album as there were no concepts being discussed. Aside from having Cry Me a River to draw from, they had no game plan and no working title for the new album. Timberlake thought that if he could make a record that would live up to Justified, he would have. So he asked Timbaland if he could reproduce the likes of Cry Me a River by 4 or 6 times. Early in their sessions, they reportedly were fooling around and freestyling. One night, Danja was playing a guitar riff and caught the attention of Timberlake, who then started humming to the melody and later sung the lyrics. Timbaland, who was at their side, added drums onto the progressing sound. After an hour, with no lyrics written on paper, Timberlake recorded in the vocal booth a song that would become What Goes Around Comes Around. And also, one of his hit songs of the album was SexyBack.
Exactly how it happened. I'll never forget this moment. So he's like, all right, man, I think we got to bring dance music back. And I was like, I'm with it. Let's go. So he's, and I was like, oh, I already know how I'm coming in on this. And the beat's still playing. He's like, what you gonna say? I just go like this. I'm bringing sexy back. And he goes, yeah.
That's how it went?
That's exactly what happened. He just said, yeah, but Timbaland doesn't do anything off beat. You should know that. Yeah. He just said, yeah, like that's it. And I was like, you should just do that.
Go ahead, be gone with it. To the back. Go ahead, be gone with it. VIP. Go ahead, be gone with it.
Did you know he could do this?
Oh, hell yeah. When I first met, I said, "Oh, this white boy, cold."
Yeah, he don't sound like. He don't sound like.
He sound like a better George Michael boy.
My love. So don't give away. My love. So don't give away. My love. So don't.
And here we are, sitting here listening to hit songs of the 2000s, and it seems like this video includes no conflicts. However, at the beginning of 2007, the first ever pop diss track in history was released by the name of Give It To Me. Throughout this time, Timbaland had worked with pianist Scott Storch, who took part in the making of Cry Me a River. And it was precisely because of this that the beef started over Storch claiming he wasn't properly credited for his role in the creation of his song. In the track, Timbaland raps, "I'm a real producer and you just a piano man. Your songs don't top the charts. I heard them, I'm not a fan." In turn, Nelly dissed her rival Fergie and Justin got at Prince. Generally speaking, in my opinion, this track is legendary because it proved that it's not only rappers who can diss each other. By the way, Scott Storch even recorded a response diss track back at him. It just looks so funny.
Won't you tell them how I made that cry me a river? What you trying to lose weight, trying to gain some...
In the end, they reconciled, and they both consider one another as brothers. And all that had happened was just the play of ego and youth. Madonna was thrilled with Timbaland and Timberlake, which is why she offered them a collaboration, and they recorded 4 minutes. And then it was time for Timbaland's second solo album, under the name of Shock Value. The album included the earlier mentioned Give It To Me, but we're not done talking about huge hit songs. For instance, the album included the song Apologize.
I said it's too late to apologize. It's too late.
By the way, if you would notice, Timbaland often used his own voice in the backup vocals, as was the case here as well as in the previous tracks that we listened to, like Say It Right or SexyBack. As for the song Apologize, it became the breakthrough for the group One Republic. The song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, staying in the top 10 for 25 weeks, and spent 13 weeks at number 1 in Canada. Apologize earned the band a Grammy Award nomination for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. Remarkably, the song initially showed up in Timbaland's album, and then only in the group's album, by the name of Dreaming Out Loud. The whole thing is that people were yet to know who One Republic were, So they decided to initially publish the remix and then the original. Which version do you like more? Let us know in the comments.
I said it's too late to apologize. It's too late.
Ryan Tedder, the group's soloist, recounted saying that this song changed his life and that Timbaland is a very generous person.
Timbaland was so big too that a lot of the credit just went to him. Like people thought it was his song. And the truth of the matter is, he when they called me about the publishing splits, I was just grimacing. I was ready to just be like, I'm gonna get creamed on this. They're gonna take half the song or more. And the manager calls and goes, Tim doesn't want to take any publishing, buddy.
Wow.
He's not gonna touch it. He's like, it's your song. You wrote it. And you played him that song like 2 years ago. Like, he's not trying to take food off your table. That's Timbaland. He could have taken 2/3 of the publishing if he wanted to. He had all the leverage in the world. And he said, I didn't write the song. I'm not taking any publishing. And it was that clean. And he let me keep 100% of that record. And that changed my life.
Oh, and of course, it's not possible not to mention The Way I Are, in which the singer Carrie Hilson takes part. The start of her career was bright, but unfortunately, she quickly fell out of the music industry. Add to that, AO Technology was released, which includes 50 Cent and Timberlake. The second part of Shock Value was released early in 2009. It included hit songs, but it did not manage to repeat the success of the first part.
Turn me on, my baby, don't you? Turn me on, my baby, don't you?
Guess things change. It's funny how someone else's success brings pain.
There were attempts to record Shock Value 3, but the disc was never released. Timbaland continued to produce tracks for artists like Drake, Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, and many more. However, that period was not as productive as 2013. At the beginning of 2013, Timberlake's album The 2020 Experience was released, which was produced in a span of 20 days.
And as long as I got my suit and tie.
Tim also produced an album for Jay-Z, Magna Carta Holy Grail.
Who the fuck I'm kidding though? I'm getting high, sitting low, slide by in that big body, curtains all in my window.
He also previewed the song Know About Me, which was recorded with Drake and Jay-Z for his expected fourth album, Opera Noir.
What you know about me? What you know about me? Oh, what you know about me? What you know about me? That motherfucker thing.
The producer did not name an exact date for the release, and the record was forgotten about with time, similarly to what happened with Shock Value 3. During that period, the producer held a few masterclasses in London for music creation before falling off the show business radar. He attributed his long disappearance to drug addiction. As Timbaland himself says, his main enemy became his own self. It all started somewhere in 2008 or 9 when a dentist prescribed him Vicodin, which made Tim feel like a superhero. He also got his hands on oxycodone. The severity of the situation became clear when Timbaland nearly died in his sleep after taking too big of a dose. This drug abuse made him reach rock bottom and ruined his relationship with his family.
I felt like I was abusing my gift that God gave me. And when I was on the drugs, he took that gift away.
He not only underwent a physical crisis, but a psychological one as well.
My fingers didn't feel disconnected to the keyboard and how I was touching. It fell off. And then that's when, like, the big blow. You know what I'm saying? I look back at, like, once me and the music disconnect, oh no.
Nowadays, Timbaland teaches people how to write music on his own YouTube channel. He also still continues to produce tracks for artists. For example, he was one of the producers for the hit song Fuck Some for Kanye and Ty Dolla $ign's album.
I'm tryna fuck something right now. That little she tryna fuck something right now.
He once again began working with his old friends. Timbaland produced a few tracks for Timberlake's latest album, Everything I Thought It Was.
Getting on your body ain't no days off. And girl, we overdue.
He also released Nelly Furtado's single, and Justin takes part in the tracks as well. In general, it's all going like it was in the good old days.
Going, I
keep going, I keep going up.
Now, I do think that his art just doesn't suit current trends. However, his music still sounded in clubs and at parties. To finish up, I will recount an interesting description of Timbaland's music from The New Yorker. When you hear a rhythm that is being played by an instrument you can't identify but wish you owned, when you hear a song that refuses to make up its mind about its genre and compels you to move, or when you hear noises that you thought couldn't find a comfortable place in a pop song, you are hearing Timbaland, or a school thereof. And I don't think it can be said any better than that. The next video I want to recommend you to watch is about what happened with the Black Eyed Peas group. You are with the Music Vibe channel. Subscribe to the channel and see you soon.